This is my 1994 Acura Integra LS, and I spent the last 4 years fixing every problem this car had in order to make it a reliable daily driver. Just a few months ago, I successfully completed an 850-mile road trip with no issues at all, and spent the last 4 months daily driving it. I think it's safe to say that I accomplished the original goal that I had with this car, and we are ready for the next step.
We are finally going to be turboing my Integra. This is still going to be my daily driver, and my goal is to make this the ultimate street car. So here's everything that was included with the GOAUTOWORKS kit that I purchased. I have the GOAUTOWORKS intercooler. It came with a dump tube that's open. We might need to recirculate that. All the intercooler piping. We have a tile wastegate, an HKS blow-off valve. I chose this one because I just thought it looked really cool. We have a log style manifold, and that's the thing that's going to allow us to retain AC and power steering, which is definitely needed for a street build. And we have our downpipe. But most importantly, we have the turbo. This is a Precision PT 5858. Is an air-cooled turbo, meaning that we don't have any water lines, so that's pretty good. We don't got to deal with that. So this is going to be a really big learning experience for me because I've never installed a turbo kit. I've never dealt with turbos. I've never dealt with the fuel system. I've really only upgraded the suspension on this thing and fixed everything that was broken. Still have a ton of parts coming for this car. We still have to get the fuel injectors, the fuel pump, we still need an ECU, and a whole lot of other stuff. We still need gauges, but we do have the kit itself, so we can go ahead and start installing it. And just like that, the headers are removed. It took like 5 minutes. These are from Megan Racing. I got these on eBay a few years ago. And I mean, we did the job. Can't complain. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and remove this AC line. Now, I know I said I'm running AC, which I am, but I'm ordering a AC tuck kit from DC5 Creations. So that still has to come in the mail. But for the meantime, I'm gonna remove these stock lines just to give us a little bit more room. Oh, I did it. Oh my god. Oh Jesus, man, dude, I wish I got that on camera. But the whole, I didn't know that that line was pressurized, so I just unbolted it and it blew up in my face. All that Freon, man. Oh, Jesus. I had no idea that that was pressurized. I guess I probably should have figured, but I've never dealt with AC lines before. I taste it I taste all that in my mouth. Holy shit. Dude, I thought we are off to a fantastic start. All right, I figured out how to clock it. It's just these bolts on the inside right here. I just loosened all these up, and now I can rotate the entire turbo assembly. So I'm not exactly sure which way is the best way, but I'm gonna kind of just guess and then tighten these bolts up. We'll put it onto the engine, and then we'll slowly rotate as we go. guys see that right there? The turbo, we actually need to notch out the block a little bit right here. I'm pretty sure, at least, because this is a super tight fit. All right, so I don't know if you guys can see it, but if I push the manifold all the way in, see how the turbo is still hitting the block right there. So I need to actually trim a lot more. All right, let's see if this now fits. So this brass fitting needs to be rotated. So you can see where I needed to notch that part of the block in order to fit the turbo, and you can see it fits pretty well. And then this brass fitting right here, which is a vacuum line, that was faced towards the master cylinder, the slave cylinder, and it was hitting, so I had to rotate it downwards. And so now you can see that it is fully on there, and it's not hitting whatsoever. So I'm gonna keep it still loose so that I have room to like move it and stuff. But dude, just seeing the turbo, that looks so cool. I'm freaking hyped. Of course, that's the easiest part. We still have a lot more to do. All right, so I went to go ahead and try to mount up the downpipe, and then I realized that the oil pan would be in the way of the oil pan. And if I haven't mentioned it, I am gonna be running a Moroso pan. So this pan needs to actually come off anyways. So we're gonna go ahead, oh my God. That couldn't have gone any worse. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain this oil, and we're gonna remove this oil pan and swap it out for the Moroso one. Oh my God, this oil pan is beyond crusty. So crusty. There we go. Dude, look at that. I've never seen the underside of this car. That looks so cool. We've got a little magnet stick. Let's see if we've got any metal in here. Ah. I think we're good. This doesn't look metally at all. Oh my God, this oil pan gasket needed to be changed like yesterday. Does that not look healthy to you? I think that looks really good. All right, let's go ahead and prep the new oil pan. All right, so I just cleaned up the new oil pan. This is the Moroso unit. And the reason why I bought one of these is because it comes with one of these oil drain bungs for the turbo. So now I don't have to deal with welding mine. Mine was already really beat up, and I don't TIG weld. I don't know any TIG welders. So I figured just buying a plug and play unit would work best. Also, it does have baffling so that when you take corners, the oil pump doesn't, it stays submerged when the oil goes certain ways, which is what the baffle does. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've put red gasket maker along the edges. I know red gasket maker is not the correct substance. However, it's the only one I have access to. So we're rocking with it. Now I'm gonna go ahead, put the bolts in, crisscross applesauce, snug it down, and then we should be good to go. And then we can put on our downpipe. It wants to just flop around. So, yeah, this is gonna be proven to be a little on the tough side. Getting the gasket in. Aha. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's how it's supposed to go. We have, yeah, I think that's supposed to go. So I don't know how to set like spring pressure, stuff like that. I don't know what spring comes in this. I don't think it's, wastegate's on. Here's the dump tube. And I chose the open option, which is not ideal for a street car. Ideally, you want to choose the recirculated option. This part will be welded in to the downpipe, right? That is the ideal method. The reason why I didn't choose that is because I actually didn't even know what open downpipe, recirculated downpipe. I had no idea what that even meant when I was checking out. Aha, look at that. Perfect. So we're gonna have to adjust it a little bit, but here is the downpipe. Okay, you can see that's gonna connect up to our exhaust. And then we have the dump tube, which is currently touching the downpipe. So we're gonna, oh, it came off, the whole thing came off. Epic fail. Downpipe, dump tube, wastegate, turbo, Morosa oil pan, all mounted up, loose, but it's all there. We're gonna tighten up once we confirm fitment. Before I tighten all that up, I wanna go ahead and start working on mounting the intercooler. I tried earlier this morning and I was having a little bit of trouble, so I'm gonna go back at it, put the charge pipe on, get the intercooler on, and we're gonna see how to mount it to this bumper bar, because I'm running a JDM front end, which is a lot smaller than the USDM front end bumper bar. Typically, when you do the USDM, it's much thicker and people either cut into it or weld into it. So I'm not too sure what method I'm gonna use for mounting up the intercooler, but we're gonna go ahead and just make some attempts, get that mounted, and then we are almost there, almost there. All right, so I got the charge pipe in. This has actually been giving me a really hard time because what's happening is the intercooler pipe right here that makes this bend keeps hitting my core support. And it's also touching the transmission mount. So I'm not too sure what to do here, and I think the intercooler pipes are like with the couplers, they're not actually connected all too good, and this is like shooting upwards. This needs to be more centered, pretty sure, but I don't know. This is that doesn't look right. So I don't know, man. This is it's also touching the radiator hose. So this isn't looking too good. So I'm gonna keep messing around with this and hopefully I can get it more straight. But I have no idea how I'm going to mount this up, but yeah, I have no idea how I'm gonna mount this up. I don't know if it needs to go higher and connect to the bumper bar, or I don't know if it needs to sit kind of at the lower level. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So every single tutorial that I've watched regarding intercooler mounting with Integras, all of them are USDM, and the USDM front bash bar is much thicker than the JDM one. The JDM one is really flimsy. So I don't know, maybe I'll need to make like custom mounts, because these are threaded inserts. So I could do like, I don't know, like maybe like an L bracket with a hole, weld that on. That would probably work. I just need to find metal for that. So right now what I'm doing is I'm kind of centering it up, and I'm getting all the couplers on, getting all the pipes routed. I think I got the piping in order. Everything is loose. I don't have any clamps on it because I'm still obviously test fitting, but everything lines up, and I think I have the pipe orientation correct. So I kind of just had to guess where the pipes went. Let's see, they connect all the way up into the turbo. Just have to get the angle right, and I got to figure out how to mount. All right, so we got the intercooler somewhat mounted, nothing too crazy. And here is what I did. I used the supplied brackets, and I just threaded one bolt into the core support. There's already a threaded bolt there, and then I just thread the other one into the intercooler. I don't know if this is how it's meant to be, but it is the idea that I came up with. It's not very sturdy, but you can see it's holding under its own weight, and I did the same exact thing on this side as well. So as far as the intercooler piping goes, it's still sagging a little bit. I'm not too sure the exact positioning that it needs to be in. Like, it's kind of touching that tow hook right there. So I got to adjust it. I need to put on the down pipe and the dump tube to make sure that it clears the intercooler piping as well as the oil drain line. But for the most part, we are getting there. Like I said, this thing didn't really come with instructions, so I'm not really sure if this intercooler is supposed to be up and mounted here, or if it's supposed to be all the way down here. I don't know, but I've been having a lot of issues with that, so I'm just going to try and figure it out. But there we go. There we go, we're getting there. I think today I finally figured it out. So you can see we have the charge pipe. I had to remove this bracket so I could move it over a little bit more. But we have the charge pipe, and so I couldn't have, so right now this charge pipe and this throttle body are not touching. There's a gap, like an air gap in the middle. It's not exactly ideal, but it was kind of the only way I could get it in there. So the charge pipe routes over here. It goes down and it goes around, and it's still touching. You can see the bolt is still kind of touching. And it comes around here. I had to hammer this in so that it would clear into this side of the intercooler. And then it comes out this side. It goes around. It goes underneath and back into the turbo. So yeah, figuring out how the pipes were routed were quite difficult because I kept hitting this part, or it kept sitting, the pipes kept sitting really low. But I finally got it to the point where the pipes are not low and it's all in a good spot. All the clamps are tightened down. I went to Home Depot and I got this flat stock of aluminum, and my kind of idea was to put it right here, drill a hole and screw it down, drill a hole and screw it down, and then drill a hole and screw it down into here. The problem is you can see that there's a gap, but on this side there's not, which basically means the intercooler is not level and I can't get it to be level. So I've got to play around. I don't really care if it's a level or not. I just care about it being secure. So trying to figure all that out right now, but for the most part it's good. All right, so we're gonna be working on the turbo oil line, the feed line. So we got this from GOAUTOWORKS kit, and it comes with a few different fittings, but what we're gonna do is take this fitting, and this is going to replace our stock oil pressure sensor. This is going to go into the block, and then on the other end is going to be this T-fitting, and then we'll have two ports. We'll have one port for our oil feed line, and then we'll have another port for our oil pressure sensor. So here is our stock oil pressure sensor, and this is where it goes, and it is right under the, or next to the oil filter. It's a 23 mil, so take that off. And then in its place, we have the new fitting. I put some Teflon tape on there, and we're just going to screw that in. There is the oil. All right, there is our oil feed line. You can see I used the adapter, then I used that L fitting, and then I screwed in the actual feed line. I routed it up here, and then it's going to go down here. I still need to clock the main housing and the turbo separately, so I actually have to pull this whole thing off and do that. I didn't realize that the fittings were not parallel up and down. Instead, they're both on the side. So I have to take this whole thing out. There's my fittings. I used Teflon tape for all of them, and they don't look like they're in all the way. You see how there's a lot that's exposed, but I don't have, I can't go any further, and I don't want to strip it. So we're gonna leave it like that, and we're gonna see if it leaks. But for now, it's pretty tight. They're all in there, and yeah, so now let's move on. All right, so here is the downpipe, and I foolishly did not choose the option for a secondary O2 bung. As you can see, my downpipe only has one O2 bung, and on the website it said you can choose to have two. Now, I foolishly didn't really pay attention to that, so I could have saved myself a little bit of time and money, but we have to have a second O2 bung for the AFR gauge. So I bought this weld-in bung from Amazon. This is steel, this is stainless steel. And we're just gonna drill a hole right here, weld that in, and then this will be for our AFR. Yeah, not the prettiest. Not the prettiest, but hopefully it'll hold. The welder is pretty good. I mean, I had the right settings on right off the rip, but yeah, I mean, yeah, as long as it doesn't leak, that's all that matters to me. All right, first time doing and lines. So I got the first part in, and then you take this part, and I believe you just shove it in there and start twisting, right? It's a little difficult because oh, I think we're getting it. My vise is not attached to the table, so it's a little difficult because everything keeps moving. So like that, but like that. This needs to tighten all the way down, and it's giving me a very hard time now. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Literally, so close. I'm digging into my chest. Okay. Go. Oh, yes. Woo. Oh my god. I freaking mangled that thing, dude. But that is on. It's hot. It's on though. oil drain line. Is in. Look at that. So I went ahead and opened up the wastegate because I looked it up and it actually came with 14 pounds of spring PSI, and that's way too much. I only plan on running like 8 to 10 PSI, especially since it's a stock non-VTEC block. So I opened it up in that clip, and I've never opened up a wastegate before, so I had no idea that it was just gonna spring out. Maybe I should have guessed, but I didn't, and what ended up happening was I broke one of these bolts. So it is what it is. But I did end up taking out the spring, and this is the red spring. It came with a red and a black, which is 14 pounds. I removed the red spring, I put back the black spring, and that made it so it is only like 8.7 pounds, which is right on the money. So honestly, I might just leave it. I don't have a boost controller, so I don't know if I'm gonna get one or not. I'm probably gonna run just on this, and then I'll probably look into getting a boost controller because I know it can be more efficient and stuff. But so far so good, man. We're looking good. Downpipe or dump tube is mounted up, but it is touching the intercooler piping. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it is touching the intercooler piping. Not ideal, not ideal. So I gotta figure out how to clear that. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for part 1 of turbocharging the Integra. So far we've made some pretty good progress and got the entire main kit installed. I'm going to be tackling the little things off camera, like mounting the battery, replacing the broken bolt for the wastegate, and routing the vacuum lines. Coming up next, we'll be installing new injectors, fuel pump, and finally wiring up those gauges. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned.